Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everybody's having a good evening. So here we are. I've gotten my title, Judges Integrity. I want to talk about that the other day. One of Trump's attorneys was on one of the news programs and said that one of their primary defense strategies were going to be to rely on the judge's integrity. I found that interesting because this is not a question of guilt or innocence. This is a question about the integrity of the process. And we'll talk about that some more. But I found that very telling. And I think that was a signal more to the judges and the prosecutors than to the average person listening. So I got Senator FetterBum. You can dress like a bum now and come to the Senate. So we'll talk about him and his changing appearance. And he's been showing up on news programs and giving little interviews. Hi, Nikki. Hi, B-Dog. Tennessee, how you doing? Finding Dory, how are you? Nice to see you all. Doc, how you doing? Bubba, Araceli, how are you? Karen, Diane, Kicking Bird. Nice to see everybody rolling in. Awaken Trillium. Bubba, how you doing, Bubba? I hope you're doing all right, buddy. We've been pulling for you. I know that rehab's no walk in the park. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Hi, Diane. Melinda. So anyway, I got my little meme there. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for Fetterman. So it's obvious they've got a doubles and they got triples and everything else. They are weird. A lot of them, but hey, it's a living. I guess you'd be a double. What would you do? Somebody walk up and say, "Hey, would you be a double for?" And they mention some ugly congressperson. You say, "What are you talking about?" But apparently, there are people that look like Fetterman. That's a scary notion. Well, a lot of you who last week didn't realize that I was not on Utizzle and I had to go in exile on Bumble. So that channel name is Mountain Man Speaks, all one word. But I noticed this. Somebody put this little meme up. And it is showing Tucker Carlson when he was on Fox versus formerly known as Twitter. Now it's, of course, X. And a lot of people said he changed it to that because when they do another dump, it's going to be called the X-Files. I don't know about that. But Tucker got $265 million. That, of course, was with his Trump interview. And Fox, he was averaging about $3 million. So if they do allow or enable some manner of live streaming ability, or for me to be able to forward videos, you know where I'm going. So keep that in mind, folks. But the fallback is Bumble. I guess you all have seen your share of memes about the F-35 jet on back of milk cartons and things like that. I didn't know if you got a chance to see this one from Spike Cohen. $550 shipping. That's how they get you. F-35 stealth fighter. $80 million plus $550 shipping. But anyway, let me just see who Who all's coming in? You're welcome, Bubba. Hope you're doing good, buddy. You gotta use it or lose it. They say, hi, Chris. How are you? Henri. Sandy, how you doing? Camperman. Hi, Marla. Let's see. I know Henri gave me a thumbs up. She always does. Mike, how you doing? Ha ha. So, I tell you, I mentioned in the past some of the, and in recent broadcasts, some of the Ukraine work I've done and broadcasts I've done concerning Ukraine is coming back full circle, and I'll get into that. I talked about Bonehead. I talked about Gonzo Lira, who was gathered up at the time, kidnapped, you might as well say, by the special police for Ukraine, and his life was in jeopardy. He's a California native. He has a utizzle, or I don't know if he still has it, called Coach Red Pill, where he would tell young men how to behave on dates. And that did not go over well with some of the people who don't like him nowadays. Namely, this crowd right here. I saw a guy put up a video. I don't know if it's still up. He didn't have a really active channel, but he just got a cardboard sign that says what you see on the screen there, and stood on the side of the road. Didn't say nothing, just stood on the side of the road with a cardboard sign. And don't you know, this SUV passed by. You heard some hollering, and then they came back and turned around, came back and pulled up. And it was these two looked like, I don't know, we're not middle-aged, but they weren't teenagers, white women. And they started giving him a hard way to go and calling him. Now, how is that statement racist? That's what I don't get. How are you racist? I was musing to myself that they're trying to start a new species of human, okay, a new species, but not a race. I don't know. As funny as could be, but anyway, I don't know if they allowed him to have keep that video up, but it has to do with what you see on screen there and money that's being sent to Ukraine. Might as well add our money being sent to Ukraine. I also have in my thumbnail Boebert lesson. Lauren Boebert. I feel bad for her. I think she's coming out of it okay. I think she's going to be okay. Hi, Yvonne. How are you? I mean, human frailty, and she learned a lesson, and I'll go ahead and play it. I got a video where TMZ, she didn't avoid them. She came with a smile. She told her side of the story, and I played a little sentence she said in the middle at the beginning of the video that I think is very important, and we'll get into that. But pay attention to what she says at the very beginning, and then it'll go to the beginning of the video and play the whole video. This is Lauren Boebert, and we'll talk about it after it plays.
I learned to check party affiliations before you go on a date. But all in all, it was...
Thanks for me. I know it's, been a rough week. Or has it been?
It's always hard whenever there's gravity put on the voters. I'm here to provide levity. And lift burdens off of people. So anytime that they're carrying mine, it's something that, kind of feel deep inside. But ultimately, all future date nights have been canceled. And I learned to check party affiliations before you go on a date. But all in all, it was mostly a lovely time. And, I've taken responsibility for my actions. Would love to know how the musical ended. And I encourage people to go and see it. But it was a great time back in the district, seeing voters. And
so how are the voters taking it? How are the voters taking it right now? Are they understanding at this moment?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks who are certainly understanding, and they understand that it was a part of my personal life, my private time, something that I rarely indulge in. And
So she gave a little hint there. She said, I'll check party affiliation on her future dates, and that her date schedule for the immediate future was canceled. And of course, we all know about what happened with this. Who couldn't wait to get in on it but Midas Crud? I'm going to call him Midas Crud from now on. But of course, here's this guy groping her, and they're behaving in a juvenile way in the theater. And I noticed when she walked out of the theater where the counter was and the lights were on, she was by herself. She looked pretty much abandoned, and you didn't see this so-called date being very protective of her or even being near her. And I think he threw her under the bus. I think he set her up. I think TMZ was in on it. I think the Democrat Party was in on it. And she learned a little lesson. And I think she'll be all right. Now, in the past, I had a dust-up where people got mad at me because I criticized Lauren Boebert for being too much of a live wire. And I said she needed to cool her jets. And I made mention of, a little bit of the provocative poses with a AR-15 and combat gear and all that stuff. A little bit of that stuff's okay, but, you can't. You're in a new world. You're going to be a target. You're going to have people picking apart everything you do. And you have to get with the program, is what I said. Not jump the gun and get in fights with Marjorie Taylor Greene and McCarthy and people like that. And sure enough, she was ripe for the pickings as far as somebody setting her up because she is an expressive, impulsive person. But I'm willing to bet that as far as ladies, they will relate to her. They will relate to her, somebody taking advantage of her and putting her. It's bad enough when a guy, kisses and tells or is just a wolf and treats a female badly. That's bad enough. But when you got somebody that tricks you into behaving in an intimate way to embarrass you politically, that is as low as you can get. That is where the definition of the word cad, C-A-D, comes from. Look it up. Scallywag, a cur, C-U-R. Okay? So a lot of ladies have experienced dealing with curs, cads, and scallywags, and or had friends that were emotionally taken advantage of. But beyond emotions, when somebody tries to hurt you professionally or politically and plays on your emotions to do that and put you in a vulnerable spot, I think she's going to have a lot of understanding, and I hope she just what it says in my title, Boebert's lesson. I hope it's a lesson learned. And you know what else I wanted to point out about this, and I mentioned this term in the past, pillow talk. In a way, I'm glad this guy showed his hand. Now, hey, I always could be wrong, okay? My intuition, all right, which I'm allowed to express, suspicion and intuition, is that that camera's just placed too perfectly, okay? And it's been dumped out there for the world to see. What if it had gotten farther than that and there was pillow talk involved? That is why you can't let everybody know the quote plan, okay? Some people have to be restricted in the information they receive for these very reasons, okay? And if you don't think pillow talk, pillow talk is a spy's favorite tool for thousands of years. Pillow talk, the most effective way to spy. You don't believe me? Ask Samson, okay? Ask Samson in the Bible about pillow talk, what that can get you. So now you have somebody that was 48 hours ago vulnerable and somebody they could get a lot of information out of if they played their cards right. And also if she had information to give, like I said, that's why you restrict it till people learn. And hopefully she did learn, and I hope you all agree with what I'm saying. But pillow talk got Samson his eyeballs burned out with a hot poker, and you know the story, right? So, well, Nikki, I don't think it was an S3X scandal with Lauren. I mean, it was an embarrassing little dalliance in a theater, a dark theater, where you could say people have a reasonable expectation of privacy in a dark theater. Of course, you don't, that is juvenile, the behavior. And that guy was awful daggone grabby. I mean, for a grown man to be, he's acting like a 16-year-old, But I feel that was part of his efforts to make sure she was caught in a compromising position. But I think she's going to be all right. I think a lot of ladies will relate to a scumbag of a guy taking advantage of somebody using feelings. So, and the thing with red pills, not red pill, what's his name? Here he is. He got deplatformed. Let me pull this up. He got demonetized. Here you go. Russell Brand. I wouldn't call him, he was singing our song. But I wouldn't say that was a patriot. And his scandal, as I've said, was well known for decades. He was buddy with Jimmy Savile, and he was. I won't repeat myself too much, but in my last broadcast, I always thought I said, and the one before that, I always thought he was repugnant to me. His past behaviors, his current attitudes, and hey, he was asking for it. And what bothers me most about this situation is he got fame and fortune for behaving that way as long as he was on the side of the left. He would not have the fame and fortune he has received, making about $10 million a year, they say. But a lot of what got him that fame and fortune was being a dirtbag. I mean, looked to me like a dirty hippie running around. And then all of a sudden, well, he starts talking about all these conspiracies, all the conservatives end of the stick, when he was living the exact opposite. My inclination to believe is that there were a lot more clicks and views and a bigger audience for people thirsty for that kind of talk. If he could have got laughs and just as many views for bashing Mr. T, he'd have been doing that as far as I'm concerned. I never did trust him. So that doesn't mean he should be unfairly convicted of anything or he should lose his income. It says they suspended him from making money off his channel. It doesn't say they took his channel down. So I talked about that young creator who they just demonetized and he cried on his live stream. I mean, he was weeping. He's a young man with a family. He was expecting what he considered to be life-changing money, $60,000, and they just took it from him. I have more compassion for somebody like that. And he was putting up counter mainstream content. So, but Russell Brand, he was lauded. He was called he won an award for Shagger of the Year 3 years in a row by a big newspaper. Everybody thought it was funny how he behaved. Never mind how many people were hurt. I'll tell you, I don't want him treated unfairly. I don't think YouTube should be able to take people's monetization money away from them, especially if they are continuing to make money off of that person's labor. I don't agree with that, but I have more compassion for the young man I mentioned before and this person right here. Instagram censors the account of, quote, former trans kid Chloe Cole, saying it encourages violence. She's trying to tell her story. And she is a she, okay, that's trying to reclaim her life and has been permanently medically damaged. Okay, I'm not going to cry a river for Russell Brand, who lived like a bum and a scallywag for decades. Just because he's singing my song, I'm not going to go to the mat for him. I'm more worried about this young lady here and the young creator I was talking about earlier. His name was Kingdom Reacts. I don't know what's going on with him. But hey, what good could come out of this? Maybe with his power and money, Russell Brand, if he really wants to go to battle for free speech, for conservative values, pull your wallet out and go to battle, okay? Where people like Chloe and the young guy from Kingdom React, they can't afford it. All they can do is get kicked around. So maybe you can redeem yourself somewhat, greaseball. But anyway, he's got problems because they say these women went to the media and not to the police. Well, how come that one lady went to a crisis center immediately after and had a test kit done, a full kit done, and I can't say the word, for an assault, and they kept all the evidence on ice. You mean the police doesn't know about that? They didn't know about that? My question is, how come nobody did anything about it then? How come it was kept quiet then? How come the police didn't do something then? So, and if he did do something that awful, somebody was saying, well, people can change. Well, yeah, bank robbers can change, but, does that mean you just forget all the banks they robbed? So, but maybe the good that comes out of it will be that he uses his influence and his wealth to point out iniquities and help change it, because people like Chloe and that other guy can't do anything. People like me, they shut down my Buy Me a Coffee link the other week. What am I going to do? But take my lumps. It's not like I can shake up YouTube's world, but he does have the power and the influence. So we'll see what he does with it. Anyway, I've had this creep picture in my phone for a while. He's one of many. Remember this guy's name, Glenn Kirshner. He's got his own channel. Now, this is what I was talking about, lawfare. People with law degrees. Look at his title. Trump and his criminal associates are flooding the courts with motions. He's got an advantage over me. He's an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm a layman. But I remember Johnny Cochran during the OJ trial. Somebody said something about him that was disparaging, and he stopped the proceedings. And the judge let him speak. And he said, I want to remind everybody that statements like that are actionable. And he repeated that word 3 or 4 times. Actionable. Okay? And he would, after he said it, he'd look around the courtroom. Actionable, meaning I took from his behaviors, be something you could get thumped over the head with. A tort, okay? Where you damage people, their reputation. And these people, apparently, from what I can see, have no compunction about saying things about others that are actionable, because they've been running the show with their lawfare and their bureaucratic empire, which is about to get torn down. But just remember this character and the bunch with Midas crud, okay? And there's a few others. I'll put them up here and there during my streams. But another thing I want to talk about the other night was this business with Biden's age. And, Thomas Sowell, I should have got a screenshot of one of his videos. Thomas Sowell has been around for a long time, and he's putting up videos, and he just authored a book, and he's doing interviews on different channels, and he's 94 years old. Now that shows you right there, it is not about age. It's about competency. Where did I put that article? Here it is. Trump is right. It's not about age. It's about competency. It's an op-ed by Summer Lane. President Trump addressed the swirling narratives amid everybody's critics of Joe Biden, arguing that Biden was not too old, but too incompetent. And I agree, I concur, and I put out the example of Thomas Sowell. Sawell. And I would encourage people to listen to some of his videos. A lot of them are like 5 minutes long, 6 minutes. That he is a true constitutional scholar, and he makes very good points. Let me see. I was going to put something else up with that. Is this it? Yeah. CNN poll. Trump leads Biden, who 67% of Democrats don't want. This is what I was talking about. The Truth and Reconciliation Act, I believe, being enforced, is slowly being introduced. This is CNN admitting that 67%, that is huge. That's nearly 70% of the Democrats don't want Joe Biden. So you can imagine how low his overall polling is with the general public. Everybody, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. It has to be down in the very low 30s or 20s just by that statement alone. And that's from CNN's own polling. So, they're going to skew it if they can and get away with it. So, they can't really point it out just like I did, because then they'd have to justify the 81 million that he never got. Okay. But they're being forced to put out this news and information. Now, I want to get into this business here. Ukraine money. We're going to be sending another 28 million, I think, Zelensky's in Washington asking for. But who was it that demanded to know? Let me see. Demanded to know. Here we go. Senator Vance. This person here gave a response to Senator Vance. I have to find that quote where he said, if you want to put weirdos, how did he word that? Here we go. J.D. Vance, right? Demands Biden administration reveal info on Ukraine's American trans, quote, spokesperson. If the Ukrainians want to hire weirdos to threaten Americans and others for speaking their mind, I guess that's their right. They shouldn't use our tax dollars to do it, Senator J.D. Vance said. Now, here's the video of this, quote, weirdo who I've shown and done videos on in the past, which I will show you some in a minute. But listen to, this is the video where the so-called threat came from, okay? And this person, what's the best way I can describe this person? Oh, okay, right here. That's it. And apparently had some work done. But anyway, listen to the message this person sends out, the drama and the rather vicious words that are chosen to make a point. And then I'm going to talk some more about it.
Russia hates the truth, but their obsessive focus on a Ukrainian volunteer is allowing the light of the Ukrainian nation's honesty to shine brightly. Next week, the teeth of the Russian devils will gnash ever harder, and their rabid mouths will foam in uncontrollable frenzy as the world will see a favorite Kremlin propagandist pay for their crimes. And this puppet of Putin is only the first. Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down, and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
Well, it was pretty unequivocal that the Russians' teeth will gnash when this traitor, this Russian propagandist, faces justice. Who are they talking about? Who are they talking about? J.D. Vance, I'll put it back up again, said, if you're going to threaten Americans, if they want to hire weirdos to threaten Americans. So right away, I started thinking about that little series I did right here. Let me take that video down. All right. Right here. Gonzo Lira. Okay, if you go on my channel, this is the order they're posted a year ago. And this person you just saw giving the interview was tied in somehow with the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast. And that picture you see right there is the editor. You see her there with her glasses on. Also, what I did last year was a Whitmer plot. You see that at the bottom? Whitmer plot. Mountain Man Speaks. FBI Dark Side. Now you know. And that was the officer in charge being arrested after he strangled his wife, beat her bloody in front of his kids, and took off driving drunk. And then he got taken off the case. He was involved in setting up everybody to make it look like they were kidnapped Gretchen Whitmer. But anyway, this is Coach Red Pill. Coach Red Pill, Ukraine disappearance. I put atrocity with question marks, witness to murder, because he was dragged out of his house by the equivalent of the Ukrainian secret police. Then I did another video, Coach Red Pill Update, war crimes, because there were this same person that you just saw was bragging about him being picked up by the SBU. Prior to him being picked up by the SBU, she identified him as a target, claimed that he was a traitor, helped find his location for him to be locked up. This is a guy who does YouTube videos about giving young men advice on how to behave on a date. But he was also reporting what was going on YouTube. He was reporting what was going on during the Ukrainian war. So I said at that time, the Daily Beast was open for potential criminal charges if this American citizen is harmed in any way. Now, about 3 weeks ago, it was reported they arrested him again, because the next video was Lira safe, and a Telegram administrator was arrested by Russian special forces because he had been involved in pinpointing his location. So anyway, this Cirillo person who you just saw in the green military gear is an American citizen, is a T letter out of the alphabet. And J.D. Vance wants to know, are they getting paid by the aid we're sending over there? Paid to threaten Americans. And then my next video was U.S. and Ukraine transitioning. Okay, because YouTube was putting up ads for you could sign up and I guess chat or meet or connect with Ukrainian trans women. I've got a picture of it, a screenshot of it right there. Now they use that same picture now to say you can just get with Ukrainian women. So it's bizarre. It's odd. But what we were just shown with this video is this person saying that there's going to be a trial and we're going to see a Ukraine propagandist and spy pay a price. Is it Gonzalo Lira? Is it the one they kidnapped last year that got let go? An American citizen from California who has family in Ukraine? He can't leave now, and he couldn't leave when the war started. He was kind of trapped there. So he kept doing his YouTube channel. And it might cost him his life. What is that going to do if they harm him? If they put him on trial and harm him, an American citizen? Trouble is what that's going to cause, let me tell you. And thank you, Nikki, for posting my link for Buy Me a Coffee. This is a viewer-supported and creator-supported channel only. I've got a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee if anybody wants to help the channel out. I really do appreciate it. And last night, Gary helped me out and helped sponsor the program. And Lone Wolf and Miss Mindersu came through with a calm from the 17th letter. But anyway, folks, I would appreciate it if you will help the channel out. I thank you so much. That made me scroll down and find a meme I didn't get to put up the other day. Oh, really? About 3 weeks ago. Okay, there you go. In case you haven't got this meme to put in your quiver. I forgot all about that one. Yeah, Delphi is coming up in the news. Debbie, I want to talk about that a couple of weeks ago because it is so weird. There was a time last month I did want to make a mention of Russell Brand. I wanted to say he gave me the creeps. And I thought he was greasy looking. I said, I shouldn't attack people. I stay out of it. But I had a feeling about him. Also, at the same time, I was reading about this Delphi situation, the girls on the bridge. And I came across some information where there was a suspicion that there was more than one person involved. And what they were doing was taking extremely illegal and extremely inappropriate videos, okay, and trading and selling them on the net. And it was a suspected gang of people doing this. And that's what was tied into that Delphi situation with those two young girls. And I was going to discuss that those things are more prevalent than we realize, the average person realizes. Okay? I mean, we're dealing with a culture that has, like Mr. T said, a spiritual problem, a culture that has lost its way. And unfortunately, it's manifesting itself in these types of tragedies. So sure enough, the other day, things started popping up about this guy's defense claiming there's some cult called Odin's Men, Odins, apparently in a reference to some kind of Nordic or Viking ceremonies that sacrifice, okay, whatever. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. But there's definitely groups that are committing heinous acts. Most of it's digital, and there are clubs that swap and trade these videos around, okay? And I can't talk about it too much on this particular platform. But are we going to be coming up on uncomfortable truths? That's what everybody needs to think about. Hi, Ian. How are you doing? Tennessee's just up. All right. Thank you, Tennessee. Let me check up here. Yep. There he is, Tennessee. Thank you for helping sponsor tonight's program. Tennessee, I really appreciate it very much. You've been a big help throughout last year and this year, too. I appreciate it. So, I don't know if he is going to tell on a fictitious group, but actually describe what they do, but point the finger at a fictitious group, or how they're going to handle this. But there was definitely some evidence and thoughts that this was not the work of a single person. And I noticed, Wanda, that you said what happened when I was talking about Boebert. And I'll just real quick put this picture back up. She was in a theater and they had an infrared camera on her, and her, quote, date was groping her, and she was groping her date. They were making out in the dark, and it went public, and very embarrassing. And so anyway, that's what happened with Lauren Boebert. Okay, I just wanted to keep everybody up to speed. Here's a nice picture that Fan Trump put up. I watch their stuff. One Vietnamese artist painted Trump with lotus leaves. So the reason I picked this is because people around the world are enamored with Trump. Not so much as him as an individual, but what he espouses, communicates, and embodies. Okay? A spirit of freedom, a resistance to what we all know is a smothering and growing deep state, a spirit of immorality that does not value human life. He is standing against all of that. And that is striking a chord in every country around the face of this earth. And they feel it. That's where we got that video I showed where that news anchor was cursing and calling us a MAGA cesspool and saying something terrible is going to happen. What's going to be terrible will be to you because your empire, now it'll sound corny, but the empire of lies is going to come crumbling down. This false economy where misfits and malcontents get rewarded and get lifetime jobs like this thing right here. This thing, this delicate flower that is rubbing their hands together about, I suspect it will be Gonzo Lira being put on trial. And if they better watch what they do with him. And there will be retribution for that. Here, I had this in the library the other day. Jack Posobiec, when I was talking about the laws they were passed in California, where if under the notion of some bureaucrat, the parent is not sensitive enough to a child's identity that they could remove the child from the home and actually grant custody to what we would consider to be deviants. Take people's children. And Posobiec's quoting Trump, quote, "I will challenge California's depraved new laws that strip parents of parental rights, that encourage minors to be transported across state lines for sexual mutilation, and we will prosecute those involved in this sick California scheme for violating federal laws against kidnapping, S3X trafficking, child abuse, and deprivation of civil rights." So this rotten structure is going to collapse. And we're kicking away at the pillars and the posts that are holding up this rotten structure. I had a short video, very short video, and I meant to play it the other day, and it got played by other creators. And I said, man, I could have played that the day before they did. But you know we're winning. You know we're winning when they feel compelled on a, quote, news story. This is what they call news. And this is Jen Psaki, okay? Undermines the Trump administration. Been working for the Obama administration. Works for the Biden administration. Then gets a cushy job in one of these DNC communist news organizations. But anyway, when they go out of the way to make a statement like this, you know we're winning.
Because they are seeking a rebrand. Pro-life now becomes, in the words of Indiana Senator Todd Young, pro-baby. Pro-baby. Okay. I hate to break it to you, but if you call broccoli candy, it's still just broccoli. If you tie a really nice bow around a lump of coal, it is still coal under there.
I went over the history of the word fetus last month. It was coined in the 1700s for mammals and animals that were unborn, not in an egg. Okay, that's for mammalian animal life. In human beings, it was always in medicine called infant or baby inside the mother. It was never called a fetus until the 1970s. Okay? Until the 1970s. 200 years later. So now, why would you feel a need to put that statement up there? Because people want to call them what they have been called for millennium, for thousands of years. The word fetus didn't even exist before the 1700s. Hi, Donna. How are you doing? That's right, the circle back girl. Hi, Lone Wolf. Redhausen, how are you doing? People came in on me. So, anyway, I got another clip from her I might play that tonight. I might wait till tomorrow. They're talking about the gag order for Trump. I was going to put something about Jack. I was going to put gag reflex. I mean, because that was what Jack does. He triggers your gag reflex. Anyway, Bobby Kennedy, he gave an interview with Russell Brand just before Russell Brand got busted down. Stay free with Russell Brand. And Bobby Kennedy came on there. And we know he was denied Secret Service protection. We also know that somebody tried to infiltrate his security, private security, because they won't approve him having protection. And he said, I'm very grateful that alert and fast acting protectors from Gavin DeBecker and Associates, I guess that's the private firm he hired, spotted and detained an armed man who attempted to approach me at my Hispanic Heritage speech at the Wilshire Ebell Theater in Los Angeles. The man, wearing 2 shoulder holsters with loaded pistols and spare ammunition magazines, was carrying a U.S. Marshal badge on a lanyard and belt-clipped federal ID. Well, they stopped him anyway, right? He identified himself as a member of my security detail. Armed GDBA team members moved quickly to isolate and detain the man until LAPD arrived to make the arrest. I'm grateful for LAPD for its rapid response. Now, I'd like to know a little bit more about this Gavin DeBecker and Associates group. I mean, is Bobby Kennedy paying for that himself, or is somebody donating that security to him? Maybe it's part of Trump's private security team. I would be very interested to know. If we're not supposed to know, I don't want to know. But he says, I'm still entertaining a hope that President Biden will allow me Secret Service protection. I am the first presidential candidate in history to whom the White House has denied a request for protection. So I am glad that he was able to get on Russell Brand's show for such a high visibility program just before things started falling apart, because it protects him more. It's going to be much harder for them to do something to him the more he is exposed to the average American. Now, if something did happen to Bobby Kennedy, right after he talks to Russell Brand, and Russell Brand is all in the news about being attacked for being conservative, then you have Bobby Kennedy being attacked afterwards, being on Russell Brand's show. It complicates matters for the baddies, wouldn't you say? So I'm glad he got in there, and he's also appealing to the heartland. Here he is. Citizens Free Press put this out. Bobby Kennedy and his wife, Cheryl Hines, hanging out with Oliver Anthony. So the more exposure on both sides of the aisles that we can give Kennedy, the better. But I'm going to, I know what I want to do. I want to show you all who I want to see in the on the short list for Mr. T's VP. Okay? Do any of you all have any guesses who I'd like to see as a VP on the short list? Because I'm going to show you, I'm going to close out with a video from this person. that I think you'll enjoy. And I know there's a delay, but if you want to take a couple of shots at it, because I will reveal who I would like to see be Mr. T's VP pick. Chuck Norris. Christy Noem, no. No. But those are good choices. How old is Chuck Norris now? He's in his 70s. But his competency. Byron Donaldson. That's real good, Diane. That's a good one. I've got these videos I was going to play. I'll play them next time I go live. I might go live tomorrow. Carrie Lake on reset. That's a good one. RFK Jr. Diane said, no. All right, folks. I'm going to do a countdown. See if Jason said Rand Paul. Those are good choices. Haha, only Mr. T can make the call. I tell you what, I don't know if I'm making an emotional fantasy in my mind as to how much this person would shake up the political. No, MS Motorsports, not Matt Gaetz. Donna said Marjorie Taylor Greene. No. Diane said Jim Jordan. No. But just imagine. I'll interrupt his video a little bit just to interject some satire while he's talking. But you think to yourself, Nikki, I skipped your choice. These chats, Ian Negan. Oh, have Ian? Sure, Ian. We'll have to have Mr. T talk to you. Was that your choice? Kanye West. Okay. Kim said likes Carrie. Okay. I'm going to play this, but I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I will stop the video here and there. And then I will close out with a special video at the end after I play this video. You all, if you think this is realistic, put 2 thumbs ups in the comments. If you think this is even anywhere in reality, okay? All right, folks.
We have a federal government right now that is laying down like a lapdog, allowing our southern border to remain open and refuses to use what God has given her in the strong men and women of courage who are ready to defend this nation. You know, I told somebody this. If I was the governor of Texas, I'd get on the phone and I'd make 2 phone calls. First phone call I'd make would be to my National Guard and to my state troopers. And I say, guys, I need you to come on down here. We're going down to the border. But what are we going to do? We're going to defend it. We're going to defend it. And I've already called South Carolina, and I've already called Florida, and I've already called Tennessee. And just like in the days of the Alamo, they're sending some boys and girls down here that's going to help us defend it. My next call would be to Joe Biden. I get on that phone and I say, Joe, this is the governor of Texas. We're down here defending the border. You have 2 choices. You can come down here and come and help us, or you can come down here and go to shoot at us. What's your pleasure, sir? Because if you won't do your job, I'll do your job, because somebody has got to get the job done.
Can you imagine him getting hold of Barack Obama by the scruff of his neck and shaking him till that little pea brain rattled around inside his skull? Boy, wouldn't that be nice? And how would people across this country react with a ticket like this? But anyway, I'll let him continue.
Just say, you can't skip over that. You can't change the course of this or that. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And it calls for strong men and women to stand up and do what's necessary to protect this nation, just like those who came before us did before us. Spirit, the Alamo needs to come back to Texas. Spirit of the Alamo needs to come back to America. I have tried over and over again to explain to these people about climate change. It happens 4 times a year. Right now it is summer. Soon it will be fall. Then it will be winter. After that, it will be spring. And then the cycle starts over again. That's the only climate change that I believe in. You know, I told somebody, all these people arguing about being president. All these people arguing about being president. I want to be the president. No, I want to be the president. Now, if you want to get something done, get a woman. Yeah, I'll get a woman. I just won't get you. Belly aching, stand on stage trying to throw singers. Meanwhile, our future and our children's future are going down the drain. Now is not the time for weak-kneed politicians with sticker-book smiles. I need a warrior in that White House. I need somebody that's going to stand up and declare the truth. I need somebody that's going to shut down that border and make us energy independent. Somebody that's going to rebuild our military. Somebody who's going to walk onto the world stage and say, I'm from the United States of America, and I'm not here to be your tail. I'm here to be the head. I'm here to lead, and I'm here to lead for freedom and for what's right. I don't want to hear one more weak-kneed politician. What do you think they ought to be prosecuting president? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I want people that are willing to look at the media. Yeah, the media. Do we have any of those guys in the house today? ABC, CBS, NBC, you in here? Do you hear me? I don't fear you. I don't fear you. You want my head, come and get it. You want my head, you come and get it. I consider it to be an honor to have a head to give for my country. And I'll gladly do it. Why? Because somebody was willing to give their head, their life for me.
Now, they thought Trump was a handful. They thought Trump talked too rough. Let them get a dose of that and see how they like it. And you put them together, wow. Wouldn't that be something? And I would trust his judgment. And that's what I think is the most important thing for a president of the United States. Their temperament and their judgment and how they're grounded spiritually is what I put the bar at. And so you got Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. That is who I'd like to see on the short list. So anyway, folks, I want to close this video out with a little something here that some of you may have heard in the past, but it's always worth listening to in the future or in the present. So I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. Thank you, Tennessee, for helping sponsor tonight's program. I appreciate it very much. And I do have a link in the description to buy me a coffee if anybody wants to help out. I hope you all have a great night. Please hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. And I may go live tomorrow, maybe not. We'll see. But if you got the notification bell, you'll know, right? But usually I don't broadcast on Wednesdays. So you all have a great night. Thank you very much. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
To tyranny, you must be independent of that tyranny for your subsistence. If the government provides your food, your clothing, your shelter, your education, your job, your medical care, your retirement, then the government controls you most effectively indeed. If that government should ever become tyrannical, and they have a way of doing that in history, then you've had it, my friends. We believe that one of the greatest lessons of history that so desperately needs to be relearned by the American people, our forefathers knew it well, is this. Anytime a government is powerful enough to give the people everything they want, it is also powerful enough to take from the people everything they've got. You cannot have one without the other. Even if collectivism were not morally wrong, even if it did produce a higher standard of living, we would still oppose it because freedom is more important than prosperity.